What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Commander Mode in Battlefield 2042, whether I think it could happen as well as whether I think it should happen, so a little bit of opinion mixed in with some speculation on a few things that we've heard in the lead up to the game. I'm sure the large majority of you guys already know what Commander Mode is in Battlefield, but for those who don't, I'll go through that right now, as I know there are plenty of you who are actually playing Battlefield for possibly the first time or have only just gotten into it recently. Before we get into it though, if you guys are new around here and you end up enjoying the video, then do consider subscribing and turning on those notifications so that you don't miss out on any upcoming Battlefield content. There is plenty of exciting stuff on the way, but with that being said, let's get stuck right into it. So Commander Mode is a feature that came from some of the older Battlefield titles. It originally appeared in Battlefield 2 as well as Battlefield 2142, Battlefield 4 most prominently, and then it was also in Hardline to a degree, although it was referred to as Hacker Mode in that game, but it was essentially the same thing. Now, Commander Mode wasn't an actual game mode, rather it was a feature within the game that allowed you to join games as the commander of the team, giving orders to the squad leaders and players on your team, as well as even using physical equipment within that game such as EMPs or even cruise missiles and stuff like that. And I guess in layman's terms, you were essentially just the coach of your team, if that helps paint the picture a little bit better. Commander Mode really allowed for the entire team to be playing as one, because the commander could send orders to each squad leader, and if all of those squad leaders played their role properly, they could send those orders onto their squad mates as well, and it would often result in a really well orchestrated attack on different objectives and just having the entire team playing as one if everyone played their role, which was much harder to organise without a commander. The best part about the Commander Mode though was that they actually integrated tablet support for it, so you could actually join games as the commander without even needing to be in the game on your PC or your console, and you could essentially bark orders at your team while relaxing on the couch or even sitting on the train. So it was a pretty awesome feature, and especially for its time, it was pretty advanced technology, as not all that many games has actually integrated anything similar. Now, it was by no means an integral part of the game. I think if it wasn't included, then it wouldn't have made the game any worse in all honesty, but it was definitely a pretty impressive and exciting feature, and it did improve the game. And that brings me to the question, would Commander Mode improve Battlefield 2042 if it were to be added? For me personally, it is a pretty resounding yes as far as I'm concerned, because it worked really well in Battlefield 4 as well as all of the other titles that it was in, and with the huge increase in scale from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 2042, I think it would honestly work even better than it did in the previous games, as now more than ever it's going to be pretty hard to keep an entire team of 64 players on the same page throughout each game. Think about how big a map like Breakaway is going to be with 64 players on each team. I'm sure it's going to be pretty hard to have all 64 players working together to win the game. At times it's probably going to just be like each squad kind of doing their own thing, and so in my opinion this is where Commander Mode would be so nice to have, since the commander could try and order the squad leaders to actually have the same objective and know where they need to be and flags they need to attack or defend, and I feel like it would just really add to the team aspect rather than it essentially being everyone doing whatever they want. Now, don't get me wrong, having a commander doesn't at all guarantee that everyone would work in an organised manner and they'd all be doing their jobs perfectly. There's always going to be those snipers sitting at the back of the map doing absolutely fuck all, and the dudes who have just no idea running around aimlessly. It is a casual shooter, so there's always going to be that sort of randomness to it, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's not a tactical shooter and it shouldn't be taken too seriously at the end of the day. But despite that, I do think it would be great to have that option there for a commander to join and try to direct everyone to work in a cohesive manner. It's always such a fun time when the entire team seems to be doing their job, and I definitely can't see it hurting the game, whether it adds to it or not. Now, as for whether I think it will happen, honestly my hopes really aren't that high for it. I feel like there's so many elements to this game already, with the all-out warfare mode, then Portal, and then whatever Hazard Zone is going to be, so I'm definitely not expecting it, but it has somewhat been teased or at least mentioned by the developers, and so that does give at least some little inkling of hope that it is a possibility. A few weeks before EA Play Live, some of the developers from DICE, Ripple Effect, and Respawn all sat down for a quick interview to talk about Battlefield and Apex Legends, and in that interview, Oscar Gabrielson from DICE did actually mention Commander Mode as something that he would love to see returning at one point or another, and of course this resulted in a lot of people speculating about whether or not it could be in Battlefield 2042. Here's the clip that I was talking about, and you guys can hear exactly what Oscar had to say about it.
And turning to Oscar, is there anything that you've had to cut from previous games that you've worked on that kind of made you feel a little bit sad?
Oof. I have one that I miss, every single day. We'll hopefully get it back in, some Battlefield version. It's actually something we did back in the Battlefield 4 days called Tablet Commander. So you might remember you could actually join into a 64-player Battlefield session on your tablet, either an Android one or an iOS one. And we even had voice over IP support. So you could kind of call in supplies, do a bunch of things from the iPad. And the reason I remembered so well, it was actually the same year I got my first kid. So I couldn't sit in front of a console or PC, but what I could do is I could carry my kid on one arm and I could have my iPad on the other one and I could scream at my squad and give them squad orders. So we just need to get Tablet Commander back, and us not having it in the next couple of games is still really frustrating me. So we have to fix that.
Do you think we can make that happen?
Hopefully at some point it will be back in the game. I don't know though.
Let's do a classic, Christian.
You and I this weekend, Oscar, let's write some code.
Yes.
How hard can it be?
Yeah, I love the Commander feature as well. That's a good call out, Oscar.
Now, obviously, at the end of the clip, he kind of mentioned that it won't be in the next few titles, but then he also kind of teased or at least joked about changing that and that he really hopes they can change it, so it's kind of a weird situation. It's odd that they would bring it up when they're talking about Battlefield 2042, as that's mostly what they were there to talk about, but at the same time, he was likely just answering the question honestly about stuff that they've had to cut from games that he wishes they didn't have to. So take it as you will, but I thought it was definitely an interesting topic to bring up, and although, like I said, I'm almost certain it won't arrive, the fact that it has been mentioned is at least exciting to hear anyway. The fact that they joked about changing that too could also mean that maybe down the line it could get added, maybe a year or so after launch it could be a possibility or something like that. Again, I don't want to look too much into it, and technically they already gave us the answer when Oscar mentioned that it was something that won't be in the next few titles, but again, it was just an interesting topic to hear them talking about. At the end of the day, I think it would be amazing for the game, and I think out of all of the Battlefield games to date, this would be the one that it would suit the most, just due to the scale and the fact that it is crossplay and all those sorts of things, but I'm definitely not holding on hope for it until we maybe hear something a little bit more concrete down the line. Let me know what you guys think about Commander Mode and whether or not Oscar's response was worth looking into. It's always great to hear what you guys think, and maybe you picked up on something that I completely missed, so be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. If you guys want to support the content that I make here on YouTube, then consider becoming a channel member. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.